So I actually, as of this recording, I have just finished playing through No More Heroes 1 and have begun work on No More Heroes 2. I immediately popped out No More Heroes 1 and popped in No More Heroes 2. I did this on stream. You can verify me this on this. Like I am legit recording this after playing through a little segment of No More Heroes 2. And every time I finish these games, or every time I play them, really, I start to notice and think about different things. That happens every single time. In this playthrough of No More Heroes, I was thinking a lot about how much I've changed since I first I played this game. Like I went from really I went from really admiring Travis and wanting to be just like him to be number one to being a someone who's on that road. You know what I mean? Like to becoming number one. Very it's a very very different perspective. You know what I mean? Like I thought a lot more about like the game, its themes, the relationships between the characters. Well, I've always thought about that, but like every time I play I just get a different impression on it. It is such a complex piece of fiction in a lot of ways because like there are things that seem like that won't mean a lot to you at one point in your life and will suddenly like mean everything the next playthrough. Like I've always liked Holly Summers, but here it was weird like playing through this again and like getting choked up about it all over again. You know what I mean? Like it was it was a really surreal, evocative experience. And the thing that really struck me about this one, I think the thing that stuck out to me the most, or I'm sure there are lots of other things, but like that, it took me a couple of weeks to get through this game. But the thing that stuck out to me the most at the end, uh, did No More Heroes need a sequel? This is kind of not really a lore related thing. It's more like a meta thing. Like, did No More Heroes need a sequel in order to resolve the plot, resolve the characters, give them closure, expand on the story, the world, uh, give us more of what we got here? Did we need a sequel to No More Heroes 1? And I am just going to come out and say no. Like in spite of everything I love about this game, in spite of how much I like the sequels, Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes 2, and the upcoming No More Heroes 3, how excited I am for No More Heroes 3, I truly feel that No More Heroes is so good it doesn't need to be expanded on. Like it is legitimately a fine video game with or without sequels. And it's kind of interesting in this day and age where like Hollywood and these increasing these game developers are finding new and innovative ways to rip off their customers by making them pay for the same thing over and over again while ruining it. You have the remakes, you have the reboots, you have the reimaginings. Gaming hasn't gotten any reimaginings yet. Well, I suppose Final Fantasy VII R is probably a rebuild, a rebuild of Evangelion, as people are starting to calling it, like having the same sort of problems with that. I I don't want No More Heroes to be remade. I don't want them to do it again. I don't want them to do it over again. I don't want them to do the same thing. I don't need a sequel. I don't need more of the same. I am simply impressed with what I got. Very, very happy with what I got. I love the original game. And as a result, I don't necessarily need more of it. I don't need a sequel. I don't need No More Heroes. I would want one if the developers could make it as good and interesting as the first. But as we've seen, like with No More Heroes 2 in particular, that's kind of difficult to do. I would say as good as Travis Strikes Again is, and believe me, Travis Strikes Again is a marvelous, marvelous game. As good as Travis Strikes Again is, it's different in a completely different way than the original is. Like it's more personal for Suda's development history. And No More Heroes 3 looks way different than the original as well. No More Heroes 2, which is kind of a carbon copy of the original in a lot of ways, is the one that suffers the most. And I do think this is the main reason why I'm having such issues with these endless sequels, these endless reboots, and these endless remakes is that there's no imagination to them. Like, companies are so desperate for profit, they'll do whatever it takes to get people to come back and spend more money. Like they'll make sequels to that franchise. They'll expand. They'll expand. They'll do more. They'll remake something. They'll reboot it. They'll merchandise it. They'll do anything they can to keep your attention on them rather than you going out and living your best life. You don't need these sequels, these franchises, these video game companies to be happy, right? And no More Heroes. As much as I love it, as much as I enjoy this series and its characters and all of its games, I would have been perfectly content with just that one game. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need endless new entries in every single thing that exists, or even really most things. I think conclusively, the nature of things is that they must end. Like, they can't really go on forever. Something always new will come up, and there's no purpose or utility in just doing the same thing the exact same way over and over again. It's one of the marks of our cultural decline, I think, in that, like, creativity isn't really rewarded. People aren't really making new things anymore, or trying to make new things in a lot of cases. It's really obvious in, like, the arts how things have, like, declined. Good books aren't really being written anymore. It's amazing looking at something like something like the best books ever written, or the best games ever made, or the best movies ever made, and just realizing wow, just how garbage all of this shit actually is. Like, not a whole lot of good stuff there, right? There are some good things there, like slipping in the cracks, like, Nintendo games for the gaming, the classics for literature, and the legitimately good cult classics in film, but a lot of garbage slips through. You know what I mean? Like, all the time, a lot of garbage becomes financially successful, develops a following, gets hyped. In gaming, I talk about this a lot, but this is a pattern seen in literature and film as well. I would love to talk more about overrated books, but like. I don't know, man. I'm having my hands full just talking about, like, Sony. I don't want to take on the publishing industry. At least not until Sony stops making PlayStation. Once they're gone, we can focus on, like, other mediums. But for now, truly great entertainment, like, doesn't come every day, and you shouldn't really go out and seek it out. Like, it should just sort of find you naturally. Like, you should hear about it, you should come across it randomly, but you should be enjoying your life, and you should be happy, and you should be enjoying yourself no matter what's going on. No More Heroes is a very special franchise to me. Like I said when I finished No More Heroes 1, the original, I really, really enjoyed it. It's my favorite game of all time, but it's not the best game ever made. And I don't think it would be everyone's favorite game ever made. It's something that's tailor-made almost for me and my standards and my tastes, and it's special to me for that reason. And as a result, I don't really need anything more from it. I have what I got out of that game, and that's something that can never be taken away. No matter what the sequels do, no matter what the remakes do, no matter where the series goes from here, no matter how well the game sold to begin with, or who the developers were, or what the original intent was, I still very, very, very much enjoy No More Heroes. It is a very special game to me, and I don't necessarily need to see an endless supply of it.